Hello everyone. Tonight we will be talking about bottom pyramid pricing. My group members are Michael, Wentian, myself, Alyssa, and Marissa. So what is bottom pyramid pricing? Well, you can think of bottom pyramid pricing as literally serving the bottom of the pyramid. If you think about the hierarchy of income, bottom pyramid pricing serves those with the lowest income. Companies that operate in bottom pyramid pricing really strive for low cost and high inventory. What this does is, even though the price is a low cost, meaning that there's a low margin on the products, the higher amount of sales that the company has, the greater the payout is. Because companies have to operate in areas where customers can't afford a high product and also where they can sell cheap products, we most commonly see bottom pyramid pricing in low socioeconomic regions, emerging markets, and developing countries. These regions or different types of areas really allow for a company to capitalize on selling a lot of inventory at a really cheap price. Bottom pyramid pricing is really just serving the bottom of the pyramid, where it's pennies on the dollar. Customers can't afford much, but what they can afford, they buy a lot of. And so it can be confused with other types of pricing strategies that also have low prices, but for different reasons. So in market penetration, we also see companies coming in with a low price, hoping to sell a lot of inventory, but it's not because they're serving the bottom pyramid, it's just because they're trying to capitalize on that low region. We can also see this in casinos and slot machines. We can also see this in decoy pricing, where a company has a luxury product and a cheap product. They really want that cheap product to sell, or they really want that luxury product to sell, so they price one outrageously compared to the other in order to drive sales to the product that will bring in the most desirable profit. And we can also see this with product turnover, where companies are really just trying to get rid of inventory before a new model or a better model is released. And we can also see this in timeshares, where you sell something really low, but you sell it to a lot of people multiple times in order to meet the profit that you desire. As you can see from these other pricing strategies, market penetration, decoy pricing, and product turnover, the idea behind the pricing strategy is the same, in that there's a low margin, you're selling something at a low cost, and you're hoping to sell a lot of inventory. The rationale behind using those strategies is very different than bottom pyramid pricing. The underlying rationale for bottom pyramid pricing, or what we will now refer to as BoP, is to help emerging markets and developing countries grow and become more prosperous. By using bottom pyramid pricing, companies are able to make many fortunes off of selling a lot of inventory, even though there are small margins.
What marketing conditions should we consider when using BoP pricing strategy? First of all, consumer behaviors have to change. People visit new products for a variety of reasons, but the biggest is the reluctance to alter deeply ingrained mindsets and routines. The greater the novelty, the greater the disruption. And people with limited means and limited product experience see extremely novelty in many products. To successfully educate consumers about new and untried products, companies often have to work with them over sustained periods. Sometimes it's necessary to create a consumer group in order to harness peer pressure and build support for new behaviors. Second, rethinking the way products are made and delivered to the customers. Customers may require lower price points than the company can meet. They may not have access to the retail outlets where the company sells its products. They may not respond to traditional marketing strategies, or they may live in rural areas where business units may be unable to operate at large scale because of poor infrastructure. The more far-reaching the needed changes are, the more complex, time-consuming, and costly they are to manage. Third, understand the needs, demands, and constraints of the targeted marketing advertisement. Understanding what BoP customers need and want requires a significant time investment. Working closely with communities, adjusting the business model to the local context, and understanding the financial needs of customers. Companies trying to serve the BoP market must take a comprehensive approach to understanding the range of constraints that low-income producer or customers face. Companies should also think about partnering with others to strengthen their understanding of systems within which low-income producers and consumers are operating.
Bottom of the pyramid pricing targets literally the bottom of the economic pyramid. Unlike any form of differentiated pricing, bottom of the pyramid pricing aims to reach the most amount of people by targeting the poorest groups of the world. Bill Gates referenced bottom of the pyramid as an intriguing blueprint for how to fight poverty with profitability. In the decades since, companies have launched products specifically designed for those earning under $2 a day. Needless to say, this isn't easy. With costs fixed, it comes down to scale. You need many consumers for the investment to yield any sort of return. It has been a winding road, as it always is with emerging markets, but some companies are making it. Almost a third of the world's population earns $2 or less a day. That's a market of more than $5 billion a day. Add the next segment, which earns on average $5 a day, and it's easy to see that every single day, the poorest people in the world spend more than $10 billion to still live their lives. Most of that money is spent on traditional items purchased in traditional ways. Kerosene, rice, basic medicines if you can afford them, or death if that's the only alternative. And almost all of these purchases are inefficient. There's a lack of information, high cost because of the lack of choice, and most of all, a lack of innovation. Bottom of the pyramid markets are poorly served, dominated by local informal economies, and consequently relatively uncompetitive and inefficient. They starkly contrast wealthier mid-market population segments that are relatively well-served and extremely competitive. There are two significant impacts here. First, the inefficiency is a tax on the people who can least afford it, and second, the side effects of the poor products are dangerous. Kerosene kills, and so does dirty water. C.K. Prahalad was a leader in focusing corporate attention on business opportunities among consumers at the bottom of the economic period. His view that very low-income markets are best reached through the low-price, low-margin, high-volume model has cast a long shadow on corporate strategy in these markets. And indeed, the model works well if two conditions are met. One, the company can leverage an existing infrastructure that serves wealthier customers to offer a product or service to poor consumers. And two, the consumers already know how to buy and use the offering. When you're selling product at very low prices, the only way to make a profit is with sheer volume. High market penetration is paramount in this situation. In some markets, as much as 30% penetration is required for profitability. Such large-scale user adoption means consumers are aware your product exists, they have access to it, the price points work within the budget of the local community, and it's easily available for purchase. For the bottom of the pyramid, Prahalad developed a different marketing mix. He took into account the special circumstances, obstacles, challenges, and opportunities of reaching those in the market. He developed a strategy called 4A's, which stand for awareness, access, affordability, and availability. First off, marketeers working with bottom of the pyramid markets need to create an awareness of the product and service. Essentially, it comes down to making sure that everyone there understands that it is available and know how to use it. Second, companies should generate an access to the product. These markets can be difficult to access, and this should be overcome. Third, the supply should be affordable for the local people's wallet. This is a real challenge in the sense that it means dividing product or services price by a 50 or 100 times figure. Fourth, and lastly, what is produced should be available. Building a relationship is of the paramount importance since markets sometimes do not exist, and the company should see this strategy not as a market development one, but rather as a market creation one, which implies a different customer relationship management. Operating on a large scale and using a high-touch sales process also means slower growth. Delayed cash flows can take a big bite out of the net present value of an investment. That's a problem for bottom of the pyramid investments because discount rates for risky projects in emerging markets can top to 20%. Standardizing and specializing the product to bring down the cost and make it affordable to lower end segments can mitigate these delayed cash flows. Using our hierarchy of needs, we can identify that one of the primary needs that the bottom of the pyramid have are products and services necessary for survival. Beyond that, we can begin offering products that address other basic needs that are present. To make these available, we can offer products through microsizing. For instance, shampoo, soap, and other toiletries can be offered in a single-use package that makes the product much more financially accessible to the bottom of the pyramid. This can bring the price down from, say, $5 per product to mere cents. Offerings can also be reimagined in a way that lowers the cost of services enough for different income brackets to access them. This can be seen through microcredits and shared services. The microcredit industry is popular among the bottom of the pyramid as microcredits offer loans to a segment that banks previously ignored. Similarly, shared services like communal cell phones make advanced technology available to the segment as well. The problem with this model, however, is that opportunities to leverage existing infrastructure are usually limited, and most products sold by bottom of the pyramid ventures are new to the target customers. The reality is that most bottom of the pyramid ventures stumble over the dual obstacles of village scale and high-touch scales. To cover the higher cost of operating in low-income markets and to work around the restrictions of slower growth and limited volumes, companies need to generate a high contribution from every sales transaction. That requires a three-pronged margin-boosting approach. First, we need a localized base product sold as a bundle. Second, enabling services. And third, customer peer groups. Gains from each sale don't have to be obvious. The most successful penny strategies typically require some basic reinvention of the value. Through this, we can charge an infinitely small price for an infinitely large amount of customers. As the products need to be specially designed for the bottom of the pyramid, promotional strategies too need to be tailor-made for the segment. The purpose of promotion in this case is not only the promotion of the product, but it is to educate people and change their habits as well. Marketers need to build primary demand, and therefore they must inform consumers of products' benefits and various uses. The traditional tools of advertising are not very effective in attracting the attention of the bottom of the pyramid due to a number of reasons. When it is reaching the bottom of the pyramids, inaccessibility, illiteracy, and poor infrastructure render a number of advertising media useless. Consumers at the bottom of the pyramid lack what anthropologists call a cultural competence for product consumption. They aren't accustomed to using and experimenting with products. The adoption of new products entails a steep learning curve for them, and consequently, sales and marketing efforts involve deploying a substantial number of people with sales skills and deep product knowledge. An expensive proposition nonetheless. Finding talent is an even bigger challenge in low-income areas, where illiteracy and innumeracy are rampant. Thus, in order to get the desired result, brands would have to think of an innovative method which would not only popularize the product, but could overcome other obstacles as well.
The first example I want to use is budget airline, such as EasyJet, Ryanair, and Southwest Airline. Because most of budget airlines use bottom pyramid pricing strategy. For example, EasyJet. Why EasyJet succeed? The first reason is absolutely their lower prices. EasyJet is a budget airline based in England, and its slogan is "Fly to Scotland for the price of a pair of jeans," which means EasyJet provided very low price in order to attract customers. The second reason is they successfully educated customers to expect no frills on board. The CEO of EasyJet argued that when someone is on a bus, he or she doesn't expect any free lunch. And the third thing is their good services. EasyJet services exceed customer expectations because EasyJet fly new airplanes and are punctual more often and keep the price low. And even they offer refund if their flights delayed. Also, EasyJet are good at cutting costs. They use one type of aircraft which will reduce the maintenance cost, and there are no in-flight meals, and they use less expensive airports. EasyJet has rapid turnaround, which means they could fly just 2 airplanes to do the work of 3, and they have high aircraft utilization. They eliminate business class and maximum seat capacity. All these things they have done is for improve the profit margins. The last reason I think is they entered in a growing market. In 1992, European Union passed legislation that deregulate the airline industry. Therefore, any European carriers could fly to any destinations. Besides, only 3 to 5% of passengers in Europe fly on a low-cost carriers compared to 24% in the US, which means there are huge potential demand in European market. The second example of bottom pyramid pricing is IKEA. Why IKEA's success? The first reason I think is IKEA's low prices. IKEA has a clear mission, which is selling a wide range of furniture and accessories at a reasonable price so that most people can buy them. The second reason is their product design. IKEA's products are designed to be functional and useful for the masses, and customers have to assemble the product themselves. This design creates innovation upstream, which helps suppliers to save costs, and also downstream, as self-assembly became a large cost saver for the customer. The third reason is IKEA changes customers' behaviors. IKEA changes the way customers purchasing furniture. Its concept relies on customers to choose, collect, transport, and assemble IKEA products themselves. The idea behind is you do your part, we do our part, together we save money. And customers' involvement also contributed to the IKEA's low prices. The last reason is IKEA's store design. IKEA has set up a layout of the store to be a destination for young people and family to come with inexpensive family meals. The physical layout also drives sales, with customers forced to walk through almost all departments of the store to reach the exits, leading to additional impulse buy. Buyers are able to see the furniture displayed in the model rooms, showing the aesthetic appeal of the assembled furniture before going to the warehouse to pick up the boxes pieces.
Ultimately, bottom of the pyramid pricing seeks to charge the lowest priced with a low margin, but sell a lot of inventory. Typically, we see this in emerging markets and developing countries, but sometimes we can find examples in larger corporations on smaller scales like IKEA and like budget airlines.